Hey guys, Emmanuel here, and before I jump into the video, I just want to ask you guys to give me the HBO special, and that is the Help a Brother Out, and you can do that by hitting the subscribe button and leaving a like underneath this video. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to do that. Alright, guys, the ship is sinking with the Brooklyn Nets, and it's being reported that Kevin Durant might even be leaving again, but I'm going to get to that later on in this video, so stay tuned. As we speak right now, the Brooklyn Nets are 4-6. They are below 500, and they are teetering on being one of the worst teams in the entire NBA. I know they're being overshadowed by how bad the Lakers are, but if the Lakers weren't in the league, the talk of the town would be the Brooklyn Nets and how bad they are. Like, they fell off a cliff, and this is for a number of reasons, and we're gonna jump into those reasons and go over them one by one. Number one is the coaching. As you all have heard, Steve Nash, who was the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, was fired last week. He is slated to be replaced by Ime Ukdoa, who is already a controversial figure because of the scandal and extramarital saga that he went through in September. He got dragged through the mud, and I don't know how players respect a guy like that. I don't know if he were to coach the Brooklyn Nets, if players are willing to follow him. I've heard a lot of people say that he'll never be able to coach again, not because he's a good coach, but because it's going to be hard for players to buy into him after what he's been through. But back to Steve Nash. Steve Nash created a lot of the mess that the Brooklyn Nets are in right now, right? Why? Because Steve Nash was never meant to be the Brooklyn Nets head coach. He should have never been their head coach in the first place. From the beginning, he wasn't fit to lead. He had no coaching experience when he took the head coaching job for the Brooklyn Nets. Not at the collegiate level, high school level, nothing. The only experience, the only thing he had ever since retiring from the NBA was he was a trainer for elite point guards. That's it. He used to be with the Golden State Warriors when Kevin Durant was still there, so they knew each other from there. And he used to train Stephen Curry. He used to be Stephen Curry's trainer. But aside from that, he did no sort of coaching. He wasn't with the coaching staff at Golden State, nothing. So it just never made sense that he got that job. I think he got that job solely off the strength of his name. That's it. And secondly, about Steve Nash, he wasn't ever equipped to deal with the personalities and the talents of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, because those guys are very sporadic, and on top of that, they're very talented, and with talent comes pressure from the media, from the owner, from the GM, to perform to a standard that's set to you. That's a lot for a guy who's never coached before, and he just wasn't equipped to deal with those two guys. And speaking of those two guys, they undermined him from the very beginning. They set the tone earlier on in his coaching tenure when Kyrie Irving went up on a podium and he said that him and Kevin Durant don't need a head coach and that they could coach themselves. That was effectively neutering the coaching staff for the Brooklyn Nets. They had no leadership. Why? Because how are the role players on a team supposed to follow Steve Nash now when the two best players on a team won't even follow him themselves? When the two best players on a team feel like they can do whatever they want, why should I have to follow him when those two guys are doing whatever they want? So from there on, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were doing no favors to him. And the second reason why the Brooklyn Nets ship is sinking is because of their two stars. Their two stars are not meant to be leaders. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were never meant to be leaders. They're very talented. A lot of times we think with talent comes leadership. It just isn't the same. Those two things aren't synonymous. Some leaders aren't very talented, and some talented players aren't good leaders. Kyrie Irving especially is not a good leader. He is flaky all over the place, and he's always being a distraction for whatever team he's on. He tried being a leader in Boston, and that completely fell through. That team was discombobulated until Kyrie Irving left. And like I said, he's always being a distraction to his team, and furthermore, he's always never available. And this time, he's not available as I'm filming this video because of the distraction he's created with the whole anti-Semitic saga. I saw a stat earlier on today that said that Kyrie Irving, ever since joining the Brooklyn Nets, has actually missed more games than he's played. Kyrie has played a total of 111 games ever since joining the Brooklyn Nets, and he's missed a total of 128. He's below 500 in terms of games played, And that is one of the reasons that James Harden opted to leave the Brooklyn Nets when he did. I mean, the guy didn't even last 1 year. Why? Because of the dysfunction that was in that team. You got the two most flakiest guys, the two most effeminate guys that I could think in the NBA. And you put them together. And I say effeminate because those two men, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, are divas. And that's a feminine trait. You got them and you put them together and you got dysfunction. You put them together with a weak head coach and you got dysfunction. And James Harden was not used to that at all. When James Harden was in Houston, he had a stable, sturdy head coach in Mike D'Antoni. He was not used to what was going on in Brooklyn, and he didn't even last a year. Earlier on in the year, when James Harden was asking for a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, I said the reason why he's jumping ships is because he sees the writing on the wall. He sees that this is not sustainable. Being on a team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving is not sustainable, and the ship is going to sink sometime soon. And the ship is sinking right now. And the ship started sinking in the summer when the Brooklyn Nets got swept and Kevin Durant immediately requested a trade in the offseason. That was the beginning of the end. Now, that trade request didn't go through, and the Nets managed to keep Kevin Durant in-house. But it is now being reported that Kevin Durant might be on a trading block again, and teams are ready to engage with the Brooklyn Nets about Kevin Durant. And the way it's looking for the Brooklyn Nets right now, I wouldn't be surprised if the whole team that we know right now just got blown up, right? Why? Because of the saga with Kyrie Irving and how that's going. Kyrie Irving might never play in the NBA ever again. Kyrie Irving is suspended, and the Brooklyn Nets might release him. The Brooklyn Nets came out with a set of prerequisitions that Kyrie Irving had to tick off before they would let him come back to play. And if he doesn't tick off all of those prerequisites, they're probably going to release him. And if they release him, there's no reason to keep Kevin Durant there alone by himself. And they're probably going to trade him away. And when they trade him away, what's that team left with? Seth Curry? Nothing. And so you think, wow, those two guys came to Brooklyn, messed everything up, and then left. And with Ime Ukdoa, the new head coach, coming in, I don't know how the future looks for the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know what this team is going to look like 2 months from now on, in December, close to the trade deadline. And furthermore, I want to really elaborate on the Kyrie Irving situation. This might well be Kyrie Irving's last season in the entire NBA. We might have saw Kyrie Irving play his last game, and this is all over a tweet. He might have lost his status as an NBA player over a tweet. Whether you agree with him or not, that's how these flashpoints can happen for Kyrie Irving. That's how much of a distraction he is. Kyrie Irving is slated to meet with the commissioner of the NBA about the anti-Semitic saga that he's going through. People accusing him of being anti-Semitic. Now, mind you, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, is Jewish. You cannot diss your boss. Whether you think that Kyrie Irving was being anti-Semitic or not, doesn't matter. It matters what Adam Silver thinks, because he's the guy. Kyrie Irving might never play another game in the NBA because A, the commissioner could decide, you know what, you don't meet any of these prerequisites, and so we're not going to let you play. We're not going to let you into the league and play because you're too controversial of a person. You're too inflammatory, and you've offended a lot of people in our community. He could say you've offended me, and he just won't let Kyrie Irving play in the league. Second way that Kyrie Irving might never play in the league is that he does meet all the prerequisites, and he's able to return, and he plays the rest of the year with the Brooklyn Nets. But after that, the Brooklyn Nets don't re-sign him because Joe Tsai has already said that he's done with Kyrie Irving. And from there on, no other team signs him because no team wants to touch Kyrie Irving because he's more trouble than he's worth. He goes to every single basketball situation, he blows it up. The Cleveland Cavaliers, Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets, all blown up because Kyrie Irving was there. But yeah, guys, those are just my thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets. If you like this kind of content and this is a channel for you, hit the subscribe button, leave it like, and until next time, kids.